Thomas the Tank Engine was feeling very happy. His blue coat shone into the sun, he was right on time, and all around his branch line the countryside seemed prettier than ever before. Beep beep! Good morning, Percy, he whistled. My branch line is the pride of the line. Wouldn't you agree, Percy? Yes, Thomas, of course. But what, Percy? Out with it! Well, there is another engine with the famous branch line too. Who? Where? His name is Stepney. He lives far away, but Sir Topham Hatt says he may visit us. When? Well, maybe someday. And Percy hurried away. Meanwhile, Stepney was puffing steadily along the line. It wasn't very long, and that made him feel a little sad. Later, he saw Rusty, a little diesel had saved Stepney from scrap. Everyone's been so kind, but my railway is short, and I do miss a good long run. I think you should tell Driver too, replied Rusty. I'm sure he'll understand. Stepney soon discovered that indeed he did. You know, Stepney, I feel just the same way. That evening, he had exciting news. Guess what, Stepney? Sir Topham Hatt has invited us to visit the other engines on his railway. Manager agreed. It'll be a really long run to get there. Oh, thank you, sighed Stepney. They set off next morning. By now, all the other engines were talking about Stepney. He runs on a famous branch line, Thomas. Didn't you know that? Thomas is feeling a little jealous. Yeah, right. You know, Percy, it may be famous, but my branch line is the first to be proud of. Everyone knows that. And he huffed away, fetching his coaches. Look, squeaked Percy. Why have they all come? There's no train yet. But Percy was wrong because from far away an engine whistled. Here he comes, cried Douglas. Stepney proudly puffed through the Nafford station. I hope you'll be able to meet Thomas too, said Edward. You both have branch lines to be proud of. Then Stepney set off to help Doug to shunt some coaches into the yards, and they worked happily together all afternoon. At last, Thomas arrived. Sorry, can't talk. It's time for my last branch line train. Didn't want to be unreliable, you know, so, mustn't be late. He was hardly out of sight when the engines heard shouting at the station. Moments later came the alarm. The signalman answered the telephone. A special, isn't it? I see. Thomas is being impatient. Why am I waiting, sir? My passengers are being delayed. Sorry, Thomas, said the signalman. You've been shunted to allow another train to pass. Soon, they heard unfamiliar puffing sounds. There was Stepney with his headlamp swaying and blowing whistles. He gathered speed and disappeared. Well, bust my boiler, said Thomas the Tank Engine. The next morning, Thomas was still fuming. Bother. Shunted. On my own branch line. It's such a disgrace. Oh, I'm sorry, said Stepney. I didn't know how you feel that way. You know, I was just special. Why? What is so special about you? Well, an important passenger arrived just as you left, and Stepney explained everything. He ordered a special train and Duck let me take it. We had a splendid run, but, finished Thomas. It can make an agent nervous not to know the line. Exactly, said Stepney. You're such an expert engine I've ever met. Thomas felt much better. He couldn't be cross anymore and began to tell Stepney all about his branch line.